Hey, so the purpose of this video is to tell you what the flywheel is. So this thing you see on the screen right here, this is the flywheel. It's on the front of the rowing machine by the handle, and it's got this little thing down here, which let me show you really quick. That thing actually you can take it and you can move it up and down. So these numbers basically go from 1 to 10. And what you want to do, what this thing is, so you can see 1 down here and 10 here. What this essentially means is this is called your damper setting. The damper setting is actually really confusing. Most people have no clue actually how to use it well. So I'm going to explain it in very simple terms so that you can understand the basics of it. If you've got more questions or want to know more detail, I recommend going to the Concept 2 website. You can also message me and I'm happy to tell you to the best of my abilities. There's also settings that you can look out to find, like on the rowing machine, to find the optimal damper setting for you. But basic terms, I'm going to keep this simple. So 1 is the easiest, 10 is the hardest. What I mean by that is essentially this flywheel thing, this big circle, it lets air in and out of the flywheel. So when you go to 1, you're basically letting less air in. When you go to 10, you're letting lots of air in. So if you go to 10, because it's considered the hardest in that it's going to feel harder. It's kind of like being on a bike. The resistance when you're just like on level ground, if you go to a higher gear, it feels harder. But if you go to a lower gear, it feels really, really, really easy. And you kind of find your spot in the middle. That's the same concept for this. So a 10 lets lots of air in and out of it. And you're basically, it's opening up the flywheel a little bit to let that air in and out. So it makes it feel super slow, super heavy. It's like that bike analogy, or when you're on a boat, it's essentially like rowing an 8-person boat and nobody helping you, or going through tons of hardcore waves or something. That's the feeling you'd have. When you go to 1, that's not letting air in. So the flywheel just doesn't really have much resistance. This is like rowing against air, or basically being in a boat where there's like nothing happening and it's just super smooth. So most people who row, we actually go between 3 and 5 because it gives you the kind of that in-between balance where it's like you're actually pulling against the water and it feels like you're more on the water. So I would recommend starting with 3 to 5. Then you can play with it as you get comfortable. But that's essentially terms you can think of it as. 1 is going to feel really light and easy. A 10 is going to feel really heavy and hard. But the actual effort really doesn't change. It's more what you're feeling. And feel free to ask if you've got questions. It's actually really complicated, but in simple terms, that's basically it. So that's the damper setting. I'd start between 3 to 5, but do what's comfortable for you.